Dinarland from RayRen98, Dr. Clarke, BGG, Cap, WSOMN and others. From RayRen98. If everything pans out according to the information I'm hearing, this should be our last Friday prior to the event, but I won't know until it actually takes place. However, based on the information and new information, I do think this is the last week. They cannot drag this out week after week. At some point, this pot is going to boil. It may very well be before next Friday, but I don't sit in on those roundtable sessions, but don't be surprised if we are not here next Friday. Don't be surprised. I look forward to hearing some interesting things between now and Monday. Next up from Dr. Clarke. Randy, yes, great question Ranman, and thank you for taking the time to answer Dr. Clarke. I also read these posts Ranman was referring to, and because I have chosen to believe, I do chalk them up as their individual and entitled opinion. But when I couple their combined pessimistic opinion with the one question that has been nagging me for about 2 YRS and as of yet have not heard any lurker, blogger, guru, or anybody touch on, is this. We know that both Vietnam and Iraq's currencies were put under a program rate, sanctions, artificially downgraded or however one words it. But the point is it happened because of war as a means to disable, conquer, and win. Well, Vietnam has not only survived but it seems to have thrived on this excessively low rate, for what 41 YRS. What's keeping Iraq from functioning or even growing and thriving and trading internationally at their program rate for years to come like Vietnam has? So Dr. Clarke, if you can shed any light to this nagging unanswered question, it would be appreciated greatly. Thanks in advance. Kind regards, Randy. From Sandra, there is one huge difference between Kuwait and Iraq's currency. Kuwait has never had 000 notes. If IQD ever has similar value to Kuwait's currency, it won't be until it demonetizes 000 notes and circulates only low-denomination notes very close to the face value of Kuwait's 1, 5, 10, 20 dinar notes. Then the IQD might eventually be worth close to the same value as the Kuwaiti dinar. But that will take time, because IMF made loans to Iraq based on a mandatory agreement that inflation must be controlled to 2%. A quick rise in Iraq's currency value would trigger higher prices. Iraq has held its inflation within 2% since it has had the imposed rate. It has no reason to raise or lower its rate, but it can redenominate its currency. Wikipedia says, redenomination is the process of changing the face value of banknotes or coins used in circulating currency. It may be done because inflation has made the currency unit so small that only large denominations of the currency are circulated. In such cases the name of the currency may change or the original name may be used with a temporary qualifier such as new. Redenomination may be done for other reasons such as adopting a new currency as with the euro or decimalisation. Dr. Clarke, Randy/Sandy, good ol', long time, legitimate questions. In our view, here's the answer, S. I hope everyone remembers these answers when these questions perhaps come up again down the road if they're even necessary. Gee, we're sure in a communication mode these days. Iraq nor VN have to change their rates substantially, ever. Not required, nor does any other country, for that matter. However, let's use some good old logic to receive our illogical answers. As Spock so many times was corrected, surprised and straightened out by Captain Kirk, when he always tried to apply logic, Captain, that is illogical, and to his continual surprise, it still worked somehow. Somehow, and Spock would always raise his eyebrows and have that, what the H% and dollar just happened, look on his face, trying to logically figure it all out, that which was illogical, and Kirk would just smile at him, and grin, with that look of, see, just listen and follow me Spock, and everything will work out just fine, and it always did. Who put VN under sanctions, and lowered their dong rate value and why? Who put Iraq under sanctions, and lowered their dinar rate value and why? Who has the ability to lift those sanctions and why would they do it? Who has the ability to change all the circumstances surrounding the dong and dinar rate values for both countries? Who truly is controlling all these aspects. Who does this currency fluctuation really benefit or hinder the most? Sandy, you are somewhat correct, except you're applying way too much logic, based on what you think you know. Respectfully, you see, you're just basing your assumptions on what you're reading that's publicly been printed, and coming to conclusions. 1 + 1 must equal 2. And we're saying, not. There's a whole different agenda going on, that says, and read this carefully, we, being UN, IMF, US, VN, Iraq, can change any of these so-called stipulations, such as 2% inflation cap, overnight, if we want. Overnight, if we want, in order to do what we want to do, at any given time, and we don't have to justify it, or tell you or the world a damn thing about why or when or how. We'll just do what we do, when we do it. Well, that's illogical, yes Spock, it is, but it works, and this is what's happening, worldwide as we speak, friends. Remember, the same people who put in the sanction rules and stipulations, and made them public in print, are the same people who can overnight change their stipulations, and put it in print or not. UN, IMF, US, primarily with regard to Iraq and VN, both, put on sanctions, due to war stipulations, and both in wars involving the US. Who's really in power, when it comes to setting the stipulations and value of a country's currency? See, you think it's the traditional, logical, in-print rules and regulations, and we're telling you, that you have to throw that all out the window, because that's not really what's going on. The people that want to do what they want to do, with the currency and wealth, will do it, however they want, when they want, based on their needs and desires. That's why you can never figure this out, in a million years, by reading printed public articles and news media information. Never. You see, the real question is, why would a country like VN, keep the value of their currency around a 1/20th of a penny, for 40 years? Why? Who does that make sense to, when before the war it was at much higher levels, and now, today, their economy is in the top 10 worldwide and has been the last 3 years, with over 6% growth last year, and expected to be higher this year. Why would a country keep the same value for its currency, that it had 40 years ago, when it's now thriving? Who makes that decision? Where's the logic in this? This is where, behind-the-scenes politics, power, and influence, comes into play, that you won't read about, and this is where everything becomes illogical. Because there's no logical reason, Vietnam's currency value, should still be a 1/20th of a penny, when everything about that country, shows the value should be over a 10 million% higher, minimum. Spock, it's illogical. There's a big rat in the woodpile somewhere, as we used to say back home. Of course, none of this can really be proven, so to speak, and then Dr. McCoy jumps in, and says, "But damn it Jim, I'm just a doctor." And Captain Kirk says, "Just follow me Doc, follow me." Now, what we just described to you, is also the case in Iraq, with a few minor adjustments, but you have to remember, who's in power in this whole equation, or was, and for what reason, and you don't completely know, you don't. But, it's important to just realize it's not who, but that it's a system that's changing for the better, one of more balance. This is what's changing, and has been changing for a while. The power aspect of who? From Mike. Regarding article, Iraq, calls to raise the value of the dinar. Quote, he guessed expert Rahim al-Shamari, that the sale of crude oil price increases in the world markets, because of OPEC and nations outside the organization agreement means that the coming months will see a rise in prices. Did not rule out that the estimated price of a barrel of crude oil between $55 to $65. I guess anything is possible, but I can't see oil getting above $65 a barrel in 2017. Fracking has really done a number on the amount of oil produced on a global scale. Oil isn't enough, Iraq has to move towards an open market economy to survive. Borrowing billions of dollars every year isn't sustainable. From BGG. It plainly appears both the CBI and Abadi had imagined there would have been a change already. They said as much. However, whatever the set of circumstances required were not quite in place yet. At WSOMN. Or Europe Admin Bill. What are your thoughts for today? Is there a big possibility of receiving our 800 numbers today? Admin Bill, day off today. Slept in today. I think I will go take a shower and get dressed to be ready for the 800 number courier today. What do you think? GEG Dinar, Admin, anything specific we are waiting for? Admin Bill, GEG, money in my account after 11 years. From Cap. Regarding article, Iraq, calls to raise the value of the dinar. Iraq is in desperate need of rebuilding. From streets, to sewer to buildings, there is little time to waste. Iraqis need to go back to work and private sector is the only solution. As Mike has pointed out numerous times, the government is already spending more than it makes, so they cannot afford more of the population on the state payroll. I am watching Mosul closely, as soon as this liberation is done, the GOI, CBI must act by activating the market economy. Give it 2 to 3 more months and we should